Yes, my name is Alain Destexhe. I am a medical doctor, and I am also the former Secretary General of Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. And then this was in the early 90s. And after I became a senator in Belgium for 24 years. And now I'm both a medical doctor and an observer of the political situation. My relationship with Rwanda is quite old because I came here for the first one in March 1994, just before the genocide started. I was coming as Secretary General of Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, to assess the situation on Burundian refugees around Butare, as it was called at the time. And so I came here, and everybody told me that the war between the government and RPF is going to break again, but nobody told me of a genocide, and I didn't know much about Rwanda, you know. So when the genocide started on 7th of April, I was very aware of the situation, and I was among the first, I think, to say that what was happening in Rwanda is not just a civil war, it's not a tribal warfare as the media at the time were depicting the situation, but I was among, not the first, but among the first to say, no, this is a genocide, this is the systematic extermination of a people by a government and by the Hutu power at the time. And after I came to Goma, to the refugee camps there, and realized that the international community was feeding the murderer, was feeding the ones who have committed the genocide and who were refugees in Goma and in different areas. And since there, I often came here, in particular for a few years in a program of relation between the Belgian Parliament and the Rwandan government. And yes, now I'm here again. No, I was not here because I was the Secretary General of the whole organization based in Brussels. And also, if you remember, maybe you are too young, but at the time there was a very strong climax against the Belgium, because the Habyarimana regime was accusing the Belgium to be pro-RPF and against them. So the Belgian people were targeted. Remember that 10 Belgian paratroopers and 10 Belgian civilians were killed in April 1994 by the Habyarimana regime and the interim government. So I came, first of all, even if I was not here, I did follow very, very closely what was happening, and I was writing an article in the international press trying to advocate for the UN forces not to withdraw, to try to force the international community and the UN to be more active against the genocide, to deploy an international force to stop the genocide, because at the end the genocide was not stopped by the international community or the UN, it was stopped by RPF, by the victory of RPF. So I was active during the genocide. The first time I came back after was in September 1994, so the genocide was over, but almost all the population was refugees in Tanzania and in Goma, in the Congo. And I realized that those people were the refugees, were not normal refugees, you know, fleeing a war or fleeing a natural disaster. They were fleeing the consequences of their own behavior, of their own act. And so they were, in fact, almost all the men, but including also women, they have participated in the genocide. So very early I was lobbying and pushing for stopping the international aid efforts in the camp. I wrote articles in the New York Times, in Newsweek at the time. There was not internet, there was still the TV, radio and print media. That was all. There was not internet at the time. So I was advocating for, first of all, to stop the humanitarian effort in the Congo and to bringing back into Rwanda. Now this was never done before the end of 1996 because the international community and the UN and the NGOs, they had a strong interest and a lot of money, you know, to be active in the camps and to assist those people, assisting murderer, in fact, assisting the structure who has committed the genocide. And finally, the problem was solved in the end of 1996 when Rwanda decided it had enough, and so it attacked the Congo and the refugee camps in order to permit the refugees to come back in Rwanda. But that was something I was advocating since the end of 1994. It was finally downed in the end of 1996, but not by the international community and not by NGOs, but by the Rwandan government at the time. So I visited Goma and the surrounding areas twice in the last 2 weeks. And the first time I went there, I was a little bit afraid, you know, because I heard what the international media said. So I was expecting to arrive in a war zone, and I was surprised how things were quiet and orderly. Life in Goma was pretty normal. People were out in the street. Shops were open, except the banks who were closed by the Kinshasa authorities, and there were very few presence of policemen and soldiers from M23. So my impression was an impression of normality, and I didn't feel threatened at all. Again, I was expecting to arrive in some kind of occupied city or war zone, things like that. Not at all. You know, the general impression was one of normality. I tried to speak with everybody, you know. You said I met the Commander-in-Chief, General Sultani Makenga, but I spoke also with people in the street to have the impression. And of course, you know, I didn't make a survey and my sample is quite limited, but my feeling was that the people were happy, first of all, that the war was over, because they suffered a lot in the last years from the war. Secondly, they were happy that the FARDC were not there anymore because the troop was ransoming the people and were behaving very badly with the population, contrary to the soldiers of M23 who behave well, who are not corrupt, and who respect the population. And lastly, because of the victory of M23, the roads with the surrounding area were open, and there were no more arbitrary tolls, you know, arbitrary custom tolls and things like that taken by the FARDC and other groups like Wazalendo and others. So when I was there, I don't know now, but the price of the beans and the potatoes has been were going down because the exchange were much easily. And overall, when I was there, I cannot say for today, but the population was, you know, not happy because it's a very difficult situation, but they were much more happy and content that they were before because the restoration of order. The major problem is the banks. The banks are closed, and they are closed because Kinshasa wants to impose sanctions, but the money in the bank doesn't belong to Tshisekedi or to the other strongmen of the regime or to the banks. The money in the banks belongs to the owner of the account and to the Congolese people. Well, that I was in front of a strong man, a competent military, somebody who doesn't like much publicity, who is not looking for fame for himself. I think my interview with him, which is on my X account, was the first one he gave to somebody outside the region, and somebody with a vision, willing to give security to the people, to give security and prosperity to the people of the Kivu. And this is contrary to the regime in Kinshasa, who has done absolutely nothing for the population of the Congo. You know, I was really sad and appalled by the condition of most Congolese people. They live in dire poverty. And when you travel outside Goma, you have the feeling that the government of Kinshasa, Mobutu, Kabila father, Kabila son, Tshisekedi, you have the feeling they have done nothing for the population and for the people. The roads are in really bad shape. The harbor of Goma, there's no infrastructure there. The roads inside Goma were built by the private sector, not by the government. What have they done for the population? Nothing. Well, it's a difficult question because I don't have the answer. I don't understand why. The problem of Kivu, it's not the territorial integrity of Congo or the sovereignty of Congo, it's the threat to the life of so many minorities, including the Tutsis, who are the first one to be targeted by Kinshasa and by the regime. These people, they have the right to live in peace in the area where they have been living for all their life before being kicked out outside the country from 1994 onwards. And what do they ask? They ask to go back to their place in the Kivu, in Masisi or wherever, and to have a decent and prosperous life, like every human being everywhere in the world. Basically, human beings, they ask for the same thing. And that right was denied to them. So the question in the Kivu, the first question is not the territorial integrity of the Congo or the sovereignty. The first question is the survival of the people, you know. How can they survive? And they cannot survive thanks to the regime in Kinshasa or to Mr. Tshisekedi. They can survive thanks to M23, who warranty the security. As I used to say, if tomorrow the FARDC used to win the war, which I think is impossible, but let's imagine they will retake Goma and Bukavu, the fate of the Kinyarwanda-speaking people in the Congo, and there are many, particularly for the Tutsis, they would be either killed or forced to become refugees in neighboring countries. So, you know, this is not acceptable. They fight for their right and they fight for their survival. And in addition to that, Kinshasa has done anything to develop the Kivu, which has the potential to be a rich and prosperous region. You know, they have many resources, not only mines. People speak only about mines, but agricultural resources are plenty. So the Kivu has the potential to be a very rich region, but nothing is done by Kinshasa to help them. On the contrary. Yes, there is a double standard. When we are talking about Rwanda or M23, the stand is, the consequence of the stand is sanction. When we are talking about the DRC, there is a stand. For example, they would say, oh, it's bad to have FDLR, but, or hate speech, but there are no consequences. Yes, I don't understand. I think they're just afraid that Congo might collapse. You know, the FDLR problem is a major one, and it's not only a question of number. It's a question that the FDLR fighters are the only one in the Congo who have fighting experience. You know, they fight for the last 20 years. They have this fighting experience, and now they are infiltrated in all the major combatant units of the Congolese army. And not only they infiltrate them, they advise them, but they also bring the ideology, which is, you know, the hatred of the Tutsis and the ideology of the genocide. So I think the international community doesn't realize or doesn't want to realize that the FDLR problem is just not a question of a small or a big group of people disorganizing the life of many people. It's much more deeper than that, because they are infiltrating the whole Congolese army. So yes, there is double standard, and I can lament and regret that, but that's it. I visited a MONUSCO base, but I didn't directly interact with them. What I could see is that they are totally useless. I mean, they should have remained neutral, but they took side with the FRDC against the M23. They lost. Now their credibility is absolutely zero, it's null. They are there for 20 years. I don't know how many civilians they have protected in the last 20 years, but I think it should be very, very few. It cost $1 billion at least every year since maybe 15 or 20 years. And I think it has no sense to continue with the MONUSCO. I think this $1 billion should be given to the population of the Kivu, and the UN should stop the MONUSCO. They are totally useless. You know, first of all, because most of the people there are there for the money. You know, they have huge salary. In particular, if you compare with the salary they can go in their own country. So I think we should be frank. It's a question of money. It's a question of money for the soldiers. It's a question of money for the officers, and it's a question of money for the countries who send contingents, battalions to the Congo. So it's as simple as that. The own structure of MONUSCO has a strong interest that MONUSCO remain in the Congo, but I think it's not in the interest of the Congolese people, and everybody knows that. But now that M23 has won the war in the Kivu, I think the international community doesn't want to lose his face, you know, and will say no, MONUSCO have to stay, even if everybody knows that it's totally useless. I invite you to go to see the Twitter account. It's so ridiculous. The new commander of the force, he doesn't speak French, you know. His French is extremely poor. He cannot say MONUSCO correctly. He say MONUSC, and so he's the commander. In chief. He seems to be totally incompetent. They put on their Twitter account things like, a Tanzanian military speaking with a woman in the street. This contribute to peace. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it should be dismantled. And I hope the Trump administration will understand that Mr. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, he will understand that MONUSCO is useless. Well, you know, I cannot propose anything. I don't have a solution. If I had, I would be a genius. I'm not. I think Kinshasa cannot retake Goma and Bukavu. It seems very difficult. On the contrary, M23 has maybe the capacity to go to Kisangani or to Lubumbashi. They are recruiting many former soldiers of FARDC. I saw that myself. Every day there are former soldiers of FARDC who come to the stadium in Goma and who apply to become FARDC soldiers. After that they are brought in the countryside, I wouldn't say where, for have first of all military training and then what they call the ideological training, which is, you know, overtaking the hatred, overtaking the ethnicity and defending the concept of a Congolese citizen with equal rights. So they have more and more people and they have the weapons they have taken to the Congolese army. So they could go further. So I think it's the interest of Mr. Tshisekedi to find a political solution, because if not, what will happen in the field, I don't know. Now, of course, the way for a political solution is well known. You know, it is first of all guarantee the security of all the citizens in the Kivus, whatever their ethnicity, and stopping with this hate speech, with this discrimination against minorities, including Tutsis, and this willingness, in fact, to get rid of them. So security of all the people living in Kivu is one major option for the political solution. It cannot be done by Kinshasa. And the second thing is that Kivu should be able to develop itself. Kivu has a lot of resources, not only mines, but also agricultural resources, mainly agricultural resources, because they are the ones who will benefit immediately to the whole population. I think Belgium should have remained neutral and not intervene in the crisis in Kivu and in the region. The only rational explanation I could see is that Belgium is a relatively small country with not much influence at international level, and they have seen this crisis as an opportunity to put Belgium on the international agenda. For example, at the level of the European Union with 27 countries, many of these 27 countries has no links with Rwanda. They don't have embassy, they don't have people of that nationality in Rwanda, they don't have business interest, they don't know at all about Rwanda and the region in general. So they tend to listen to what Belgium is saying, because Belgium is supposed to have the experience of the region, which it has not, because, you know, most of the policy towards the region were a failure in the last 20 years. So I think it's a big mistake for the Belgian government, I insist, to have involved itself so much in the region. Yes, it is true that in Belgium you have many people who are genocide deniers, or who has a conception of the history which is not coherent with the fact. But it's very difficult to fight against that, because there is free speech in Belgium. You can say whatever you want, even if it's false or wrong. So I won't blame the Belgian government for that. It's very difficult to fight against genocide denial, for example, because people have the right to say whatever they want. when there is a crisis like this, the breakdown of diplomatic relation is only 2 days old. So I think there is nothing which can be done in the short term. There is no solution. We have to wait and hope that relation could be restored. But I think due to the severity of the crisis, it will take time. I'm just a normal citizen. I don't have a political function anymore. I just see what I see. I mean, my major message would be, first of all, sanctions are wrong and unfair. And the second message would be the problem in the Kivu is a problem of survival for the people of Kivu, for the minorities and for the Tutsis. It's not a problem of territorial integrity or Congo sovereignty. I'm a medical doctor. When you want to treat a patient, you have first of all to diagnose the illness, to diagnose the cause of the problem. If you do a wrong diagnosis, you cannot treat the patient correctly. So the international community should make first of all a good diagnosis and then find a solution. And now they are doing the contrary. They treat the patient with the wrong medicine.